Hello and welcome to Round 9 of Battle of the Decade Season 2, the show where I take the best-selling albums of each year in the UK and feed them through the Battle of the Decades tournament format to find out what was the best decade in music. So, a quick recap of the rules, although I'm sure everybody gets them at this late stage in the game. Still though, no albums from the 1960s allowed due to unreliable sales data, and albums score points via their ranking positions and star ratings. Hell, you know the drill by now. And on this episode we're going to be throwing all the 8s into the ring: 1978, 1988, 1998, 2008 and 2018. So let's have a look at our Albums of the Year roster. From 1978 we have The Album by Abba. From 1988 we have Kylie by Kylie Minogue. From 1998 we have Talk on Corners by the Corrs. From 2008 we have Rockferry by Duffy. And from 2018 we have Staying at Tamara's by George Ezra. So, now the battlefield has been prepared, let's be complete rankers and rank into the very fabric of time itself. This is Battle of the Decade Season 2, Round 9. So, we're going to be kicking off this round with Talk on Corners by the Corrs, which was the Irish family soft rock band's second LP from 1998. Initially, sales were a bit slow for the album, but it took off significantly when the band released a fairly rank Fleetwood Mac cover, Dreams, as a single, which inexplicably rocketed into the UK top 10. The LP produced 3 more top 10 singles for the group and ended up going 9 times platinum in the UK, making it one of the country's biggest ever selling albums and also the biggest selling Irish album of all time. Quite why that should be the case, however, I couldn't tell you. The Corrs are not awful, but they are completely unremarkable. Their music is bland, white bread MOR soft rock 101. It is occasionally livened up by some nice trad Irish instrumentation, but to be honest, even that aspect sinks into blandness because it's just overused. All those Irish breaks start to sound exactly the same after you get about 3 songs deep. Also, since we've already boarded the negativity train, I will also note that the production is also pretty duff, forking over a clean, digitised soundscape that feels very soulless, corporate and unappealing. And at 14 tracks and an hour in length, the LP also overstays its welcome. In fact, around about the track 10 mark, my brain just decides to shut down and stop cooperating. So the 4 songs that come after the decent but not great Irish instrumental, Paddy McCarthy, basically zap out of existence, even though one of them, Queen of Hollywood, isn't actually all that bad. What is bad, overwrought and dull as dishwater though, is the really stodgy midsection of the LP, where you get the back-to-back schmaltzy ballads, Don't Say You Love Me, Love Gives, Love Takes and Hopelessly Addicted. It's one of those properly dire sections of a record that makes you want to prod the brains out of your skull with the nearest Irish tin whistle. But as I said, the Corrs are not that bad. This isn't on the same level of awfulness as Eyes Open by Snow Patrol for example, and there are actually some good songs here. Opener, Only When I Sleep, has a Pierce Brosnan era 007 theme tune vibe about it, which is pretty cool. The likes of When He's Not Around and So Young have a pleasing late period Britpop glide to them, while What Can I Do has a nicely iconic lilt to its slick keyboard forward balladry. But yeah, ultimately there's still not enough quality to make me come back to this ever again. While not dreadful, it is a bit bland, a bit boring and a bit too overlong. 2.5 stars, which gives the 1990s a score of 35 points. Next up we have Kylie by Kylie Minogue, which was the Australian pop star's debut LP from 1988. Recorded at the same time as she debuted on the popular Aussie soap opera Neighbours and written and produced by the 1980s hit factory trio of Stock, Aitken, Waterman, Kylie became a huge smash in the UK, going 7 times platinum and producing 4 top 10 singles, including the #1 hit I Should Be So Lucky. Neighbours of course would go on to be a veritable hive of future pop stardom, with the likes of Jason Donovan, Natalie Imbruglia and Holly Valance all following in Kylie Minogue's footsteps. And what we have here is a full-on bastion of cheesy 1980s blocky dance pop. I mean, when you close your eyes and you think about crappy 1980s pop music, this is probably what springs up in your mind straight off the bat.
And as such, yeah, this album sounds janky as shit these days, but therein also lies its charm, because whilst it is janky, it's also incredibly nostalgic. The entire record is like a musical time capsule that instantly whisks you back to the 1980s and watching Saturday morning cartoons in your pyjamas. Well, at least for me. For you old fuckers, it's probably like signing on to the dole and thinking about how to best assassinate Margaret Thatcher. Plus, a lot of the tunes on here are just undeniably catchy. The likes of the number one smash hit, I Should Be So Lucky, and Kylie's debut single, The Locomotion, are like sticking a piece of 1980s flavoured bubblegum in your mouth. And by that I don't mean the flavour of an AIDS epidemic or depressing miner strikes, but the taste of neon fashion and batshit crazy hairdos. Both tunes are a lot of fun. Je ne sais pas pourquoi is a nice tuneful ballad that has a decent sense of swirling emotion about it. What's an Australian doing messing around with French though? That's the equivalent of a baboon eating caviar. It's just odd and highly unlikely. Je m'appelle Ian, I live in that fucking trailer over there, mate. Fancy a tinny? It's no secret, meanwhile, it's a fun slice of supermarket pop with a giant chorus, while Turn It Into Love has a dramatic pulse thrumming through its Eurotrash tinted balladry. But let's not pretend that this is a masterpiece or anything like that. It's not. It's fast food junk music. It's like wolfing down a McDonald's Happy Meal as an adult. You know you shouldn't be doing it, everybody's looking at you, and yes, it is quite embarrassing, but it's still kind of enjoyable in a nostalgic type of way. To that end, because you know what you're getting into when you come here, there's nothing egregious on this record. It is exactly what it says on the tin. Still, if I never heard songs like Got to Be Certain, I Miss You, I'll Still Be Loving You, or Look My Way Again, I wouldn't bat a single eyelash. In fact, I'd be relieved. Sometimes 1980s trash is fun, and sometimes it's just trash. So yeah, Kylie Minogue's debut is very much a product of its time. It's a double-edged sword for sure, both nostalgic and kind of crap. It's a record that playlists were born for. Cherry pick a few fun tunes and ignore the rest and you'll have a good time. But as an album, 3 stars, which gives the 1980s 50 points. Next up we have Staying at Tamara's by George Ezra from 2018, which was the English pop star's second LP. And yeah, George who? I have honestly never even heard the name George Ezra before in my life, but apparently he was pretty successful, with this album going 4 times platinum in the UK and spawning 3 top 10 singles, including the number 1 hit Shotgun. And what we have here is a kind of folky, Ed Sheeran-esque album of slick modern pop that is completely adequate. Like, it's alright. In fact, it's actually quite pleasant. This record has 11 songs and runs 37 minutes, so nothing to complain about there. The songs are all pretty decent and consistent in quality. I mean, they're all like mildly catchy disposable pop tunes. Nothing to really complain about there either. George's voice is actually pretty cool too. It has a nice baritone timbre to it that really reminds me of Tom Smith from Editors, which is something I like. So far, so good then, except the record is also utterly vapid. The lyrics are as rote and as lifeless as it gets, and the songs, whilst pleasant while listening to them, are totally unmemorable. Like, I've listened to this LP 3 times and I still cannot remember a bastard song on it. It's like George Ezra's entire existence evaporates from my brain the moment the record ends. Now, I could go into detail about some mild highlights, but what's the point? Does anyone out there actually care about George Ezra? Apart from his mum, of course. Probably not. So yeah, as I said, this album is alright. Stick it on in the background of a house or garden party and it'll go down well. It's perfectly adequate and innocuously pleasant. But it also has about as much depth and substance as a Russian at a peace talk meeting. Still though, it is better than some of the modern shit I've come across while making the show, so I'll be charitable to George here. 3.5 stars, which gives the 2010s a score of 65 points.
Time flies by in the yellow and green. Stick around and you'll see what I mean. There's a mountain top that I'm dreaming of. If you need me, you know where I'll be. I'll be riding shotgun underneath the hard sun, feeling like a someone.
Next up we have Rockferry by Duffy from 2008, which was the Welsh singer's debut LP. And in a world of big budget X Factor sponsored pop divas, Duffy is quite the inspiring exception. A working class lass digging her way out of poverty, Duffy played the backroom jazz clubs and on sheer talent got herself noticed, which led the ex-Suede guitarist Bernard Butler to take an interest, partner up with her, co-write all but one of the songs on this album and send Duffy unexpectedly careening into the big time. And the big time is definitely an apt phrase here, with the record going 7 times platinum and producing 2 top 10 singles in the UK, including the number 1 hit Mercy. The LP was also critically lauded out the wazoo, taking a raft of good reviews and winning a Grammy and several Brit Awards. Sadly, things would go very wrong for Duffy shortly after this album, with her popularity sliding dramatically for her sophomore release, and then she disappeared completely from the public eye after being kidnapped and sexually assaulted by a crazed fan. Which is just unfathomably awful. Poor Duffy, what the fuck? Like, I hope that guy dies a nasty death out in the pits of despair. Anyway, away from the tragedy of Duffy's future, what we have here is a dour set of soul, R&B and 1960s girl pop tunes that seems to be pretty conspicuously riding on the coattails of Amy Winehouse's success the year prior. That said, the record is actually pretty damn good and consistent in its quality. What makes this jump a cut above the likes of Adele and other such contemporaries is Duffy's Britishness and the way that she feels very working class, suffering through poverty and dealing with local life in local places. Her songs are full of locations, such as the titular Rockferry or Warwick Avenue, and it gives them a grittiness. It kind of reminds me of when the Smiths would name check places like Euston or Newport Pagnell or whatever. You know, it just makes the songs feel more real and genuine. Then of course you have Duffy's sense of misery. She's a sad girl through and through, and her collapsing heartbreak comes through in the tunes very nicely. Plus her husky voice is just lovely. Highlights on a good album would include the opening dour balladry of the title track Rockferry, which sounds like it might have given Lana Del Rey a few ideas to pocket. Warwick Avenue clings to those 1960s girl group vibes and is adorned by some beautiful strings. Stepping Stone turns on the dramatic atmospherics and catchy choruses for an easy win. Number 1 hit Mercy has a booming rhythm that lurches along in an irresistible kind of way, while Distant Dreamer is an epic closer that blasts off towards the night sky via its sweeping and uplifting mega balladry. But yeah, there's not really any downtime to be found here. It's all really good and steadfastly emotive stuff from top to bottom. During this season, I've had to deal with a lot of this type of music, from Adele to Emily Sandé to Amy Winehouse and now to Duffy. Although it's never going to be a go-to genre for me personally, I will say that Duffy is definitely my favourite among those artists. I think her music is actually pretty good. 4 stars, which gives the 2000s a score of 80 points. Coming in first place this week we have The Album by Abba, which was the Swedish pop group's 5th LP, releasing in December 1977. And of course, as the follow-up to the band's breakthrough, Arrival, the album was another huge multi-platinum success that produced 2 number 1 singles in the UK via The Name of the Game and Take a Chance on Me. Stylistically, this is a bit more subtle and a bit more artsy than Arrival, but still continues on that record's penchant for unstoppable hooks and skyscraping melodies. And yeah, this is just another straight up humdinger of an LP. It is fantastic from start to finish, and just sends great song after great song careening directly at you. And yeah, I've learnt a lot about the history of pop music while making this season of Battle of the Decades, but probably the most shocking thing I've learnt is that, apparently, I really like ABBA. I never knew that was something that was going to appear on my bingo card, but it has. I mean, I have yet to hear a record by the band that I don't like. They have earned my respect, and I will never turn my nose up at the band ever again. Thank you for the music indeed. Mwah! Chef's kiss for ABBA right there. And when it comes to highlights on this particular album, well, that would be everything. There's not even a whiff of a weak tune here. Still, cherry picks from a phenomenal pop record would include the opening neon-tinged rock epic that is Eagle. Take a Chance on Me is awesome with this unforgettable chorus and machine gun-like backing chants. The Name of the Game is beautiful with this euphoric horn work. The likes of Thank You for the Music and I Wonder are immaculate grandiose ballads. One Man, One Woman has grandstanding hooks for days. Hole in Your Soul is surprisingly rocking, as is the desperate sounding closer I'm a Marionette. So yeah, this album is basically flawless. Is it as good as a rival? Well, that's tricky to say. One day I'll have to tackle a full discography ranker for Abba, but I don't think there's much in it either way. They're both masterpieces of pop music in my opinion. Yep, this album is wonderful. 5 stars, which gives the 1970s a score of 100 points. So, stop robbing poison ivy on your sister's dildo and turn your attention to the scoreboard. The 1970s extend their lead in first with 785 points. The 1980s are in second with 675 points. The 2010s remain in third with 555 points. The 2000s are in fourth with 510 points, and looking a bit broken in last place is the 1990s with 390 points. And that's round 9 of Battle of the Decade Season 2 in the bag. Of course, I know you'd rank these records differently, so why not sound off in the comments and tell me how you'd rank them. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe and all that other kind of YouTube jazz. Make sure to take care of yourself, but most importantly, just keep on ranking.